Test 1, 2. Holy crap! Let's go! Okay, so obviously this is going to be a celebratory post-game live stream, one we haven't had in quite a while. For those who don't know who I am, are wondering where Macri is or where the Crow is, he is enjoying a much-deserved date night with Mrs. Macri. So I'm in your super producer, the one behind the @Knicks Film School name, and am I happy? Live from Pastor Claudio's Obi Hive, am I thrilled that I get to be part of this celebratory post-game live stream? Because the New York Knicks, the kids mostly, took their talents down to South Beach and stuck it up right that Heat culture rear end. Okay, so much for the Knicks haven't beaten the Heat in years. So much for Jimmy Butler and the Knicks and getting every foul call. So much for that wire-to-wire blowout on national television a month ago. So much for Redacted's pink suit. They played the kids. Emmanuel quickly comes up clutch. And tonight, we're having some fun here on the post-game live stream. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm just going to set up because I got to be honest, I did not expect this to be how tonight was going to go. I bring all your super chats. We're going to do some fun analysis tonight. We're going to we'll eat the crow if you'd like to. I'm sure you guys would like to have somebody else here that would need to eat some crow, because something we were screaming about all season as far as Tibbs playing the kids didn't happen, and all of a sudden it happens, and what do you know, they can contribute to a victory. I'm just pumped. And look, obviously it's gonna have a lot to do with the fact that who they beat was the team I hate more than any other team in the NBA. But yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Where to start? Emmanuel, quickly. Let's start there. 20 of his 23 points in the fourth quarter. He got in one of those quickly streaks and was unstoppable down the stretch. And the cool part about it is there was a moment in that comeback when the Knicks, I think, went up by 3 and it looked like the run had stagnated. And look, let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way first. And John, let's get this out of the way first and say, if you want to make this a referendum on Tibbs this season, that he should have been doing this sooner, as your prerogative. Let's get it out of the way. He's had not the best year. The young guys have been put in corners, like Obi, who had 15 points tonight. Quickly, we all go back to the Laker game where he was benched for the second half. We all have these things where we're frustrated with Tibbs, fire Tibbs. If you want to put that in the chat, go right ahead. I applaud Tibbs for riding the kids as much as he could in the fourth. And then it's not just about this is the one pushback I've always had about the play the kids crowd. It's not just about play them and see what happens. They're allowed to play and not just get leads like tonight, but then lose leads like tonight. When it looked like it stagnated, he brought RJ and Obi back in the game. And look what happened. They were able to give more advantage creators. They were able to create. You have 2 other guys that kept defenses honest and quickly was able to do more things. I can't get enough of how good this win felt, going down the stretch. And I'm looking like they actually have the better advantage here, because if Miami's just going to keep chucking up threes, and look, I was terrified of Jimmy Butler down the stretch, don't get me wrong, but I was actually confident because somebody wasn't available to play tonight. And I actually thought this is going to, they're actually going to create the right shots that'll get them to win this game. And lo and behold, they actually did. I was perfectly fine with that last 2 minutes when he brought Burks in and he brought Taj back in. If anybody that wanted to see the kids close out the game, I'm actually fine that he brought in ball handlers and free throw shooters to close this one out. And this is a win where you look back on it at the end of the season and you put this up there with the Charlotte win. You put this up there with the 2 Celtics wins as the best win of the season, because not only did the kids play, not only did they contribute toward a win, but collectively the kids closed. You had a young player in his second year as part of a closing lineup. You had let's just talk about Jericho Sims with the 58th pick in the draft. He had one of the biggest offensive rebounds of the game tonight. RJ, through all of his struggles, still held his own on the defensive end. The big pass to Taj in the fourth. And look, for everybody that wants to play that Trae Young clip of him crossing up Taj Gibson the other night, can we just talk about how Taj was Taj and kids, Taj and sons, as Fred Katz called it, was part of the comeback lineup tonight? I gotta say, this is a feeling I didn't expect. I was going back and forth between March Madness and the Knicks tonight, and I knew I had to do the post game, but it was going how I thought the game would be. And then the fourth quarter happened, and what a gift! Thank you, Emmanuel. Quickly, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're going to get to all of your super chats in just a second. I'm sure there's going to be some Take That Tibbs. I'm sure there's going to be some comments about Redacted as well. But let's get to the super chat. Thank you, everybody. Again, Andrew filling in for John Macri tonight. John, I hope you're enjoying your date night tonight. Much deserved. I'll take it from here. And I hope that it's not too much vitriol your way. Okay. Because I got you. Don't worry, buddy. First off, Robert Cross. First time, long time, John. I feel like, Robert, surprise. I feel like some of us have been vindicated by certain young players in recent games. And boy, does it feel good. Absolutely, sir. Thank you, Robert Cross, as always. Roger Fortune, thank you for the contribution. I'd love it to complain about the rest of the season, but it's great to finally see the young kids ball out and get the minutes they deserve. Yeah, they earned it. That's the thing. And this is, I go back and forth, and I've mentioned this on the pod, or at least I think I've mentioned it on the pod. If it's not on the regular pod, it's definitely been on the playbacks, that John, Jeremy, and I all have a different point of emphasis where we put the most blame, where John seems to lean more toward the players and Jeremy seems to lean more toward the coach. And I'm like, the front office gave a win now coach a win later roster. And you either needed to, they did double down on the roster that Tibbs won 41 games and won coach of the year with last year. Fine. But it didn't seem like there was enough plan B, C's, and D's for Tibbs to turn to. So then when he's trying to continue to make plan A work, we're all going to get frustrated by it. I think he's really good at plan A if plan A is working. There's really no plan B, C, and D. I've always said my thought with Tibbs is that he's Rex Ryan. For those who are football fans, the reference, but for those who aren't, Rex Ryan was a really good defensive coach, became the coach of the Jets in 2009. Their offense in the first 2 years was mediocre, but they had one of the best defenses in the league and went to the AFC Championship game in back-to-back years. Beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in a single playoffs, one of two teams to ever do that. And then when some of the players that were there on offense went away, this offensive line of all first rounders, the Santonio Holmes and the Dustin Kellers and the Braylon Edwards and the Tony Richardsons of the world, once the weapons on offense went away, it was clear this guy just does not know how to coach offense. He's can hold the other team to 16 points, but when you're scoring 13, it doesn't matter. And I think he wore out his welcome once you saw how lack of an offensive mind he has. And I think Tibbs doesn't really have that creative of an offensive style. Benji has pointed that out a lot on some of his games, but he also you can't say that there wasn't a defensive intensity from the Knicks in the fourth quarter. He gets them to play hard, even if it is the kids that should have been playing this entire season. And look, there wasn't anything magical as far as the Heat have no clue what to do with what Tibbs was doing in the fourth quarter. Emmanuel quickly got hot. Deuce McBride hit a couple shots. Quentin Grimes hit a couple shots, and the Knicks came back on the Miami Heat in South Beach. That's the way I'm looking at this, is that this is what, and this is where I look at for next season, if they bring Tibbs back and Redacted isn't here. Imagine a 31 win team next year that has 15 wins like this. And I think we'd all sign up for it, and I think that's the frustrating part about this year, is that we had so many losses like this, where the kids would bring you back and then Redacted gets put into the game. And then closing lineups are what they are and closing offense is what it is. But listen, let's enjoy tonight for tonight, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Roger, again for your contribution. Dan Hidalgo, J Mac, we back. John, I hope you heard that. Randall, redacted equals biggest mirage of all time. It's hard to be a mirage with that pink suit. And look, like that looks like I'm going to Miami, I'm gonna wear my best suit look. Personally, not a fan. All the Miami shows I've ever seen are, well, I guess no, they're pink, or like the Heat have an alternate pink uniform. So I guess that's fair. There's gonna be a lot of that tonight, I'm sure, and there's gonna be a lot of that over the next couple of weeks if they do shut him down for the season. Watch them activate him for Sunday's game against the Pistons, and like the closing lineup doesn't look as what it is, and the excitement that we got is just all of a sudden gone. Yeah, I'm sure that this is not the first. I'm sure this is not the last of redacted commentary tonight. Robert Cross, again, first time, long time. John, instead of looking for a point guard in the offseason, how about playing IQ and Deuce more? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. So they do still need a point guard. Let's just get that out the way. Whether you want to play quickly and do more minutes together, and that's your second unit, fine. I still think they need an upgrade over Kemba or an upgrade over Alec Burks as far as the point guard is concerned. Alec Burks is perfect for like a backup 3, but I still think they should go after, especially for trade assets down the road, like a Brunson or a Brogdon, and we have the cap. We're already beginning to work on the cap or no caps for this offseason. But I still think that it's they're not gonna be able to just say, okay, quickly, we're gonna promote you, and that's just like a good plan. I think that if you wanted to get a veteran in here so that way it's not just like all on him, because if he goes into one of those shooting slumps, then there's no plan B. Yeah, I'm not saying like you need to go get a savior at point guard this offseason. I'm saying get somebody that can complement, like, you know what? Maybe that's Derrick Rose, now that I think about it. If Quickly actually can take a leap, and we see it in these last 10 games, and it is enough for them to see that he can play meaningful minutes, even if it's not just like as the quote unquote prototypical point guard, but it's as a guy that can create offense for everybody on the floor and is a weapon on the bench or even in the starting lineup. Maybe Derrick Rose is that guy that can spell him in these different spurts. But yeah, they have options, Robert. I hear you. Shamik Gayen, this is all the proof the front office needs to move on from redacted value back in a trade. Be damned. I hinted at this on Sunday, or I guess Monday, with when we did our little bracket, and then like I'll just say it. Julius Randle has been humanized for me a little bit. I see his Instagram, and I have a soft spot for that. And there's something you guys are going to find out about in a couple weeks, where like what Julius Randle did last season legitimately impacted my life forever. And I am curious, like, what happened that the guy, because it's not just about missing shots anymore. The effort from last season's gone. The decision making from last season is gone. The leader from last season seems to be gone. And I don't know if it's something that happened while I keep going back to when the fan base went nuts and in rejoicing when he got tested positive for COVID. And then 2 games after that, after he came back, was when the Boston game with the thumbs down. And since then, it seems like it's been a war and he's losing. So, like, I get it. And like, you could say maybe like the contract here is the even more frustrating part, that like he did all of that when he had to because he was trying to get an extension. But yeah, I'm able to look at him and not like, I will admit there was a moment in the fourth quarter during the comeback. I think they had just tied it at 94. and the Knicks were on defense, and I looked at the Knicks bench and I saw that everybody was standing except him. And I thought to like make a mental note of it because maybe that'll come back. But I'll get to you in a minute, XJ. So I thought to make a note of it when the Knicks were coming back. Like, okay, he's clearly not engaged. Then Quentin Grimes came down and hit the three to make it 97-94. And then I saw him up. And so you were able to like, I was able to be like, I mean, it was just a moment that he wasn't standing with the team. He clearly seems like engaged in this comeback. Good for him. But yeah, I completely respect if people are done with him. I think it might actually be better for the team if they move on from him. But yeah, I've humanized him enough that I don't have the vitriol that you guys do. But I completely respect if you do. Let's get going with more in the super chat. Kevin Danishevsky. If they cut it to 9 from 17, hold on. I see what John's talking about. I'm also going off a different list than he is. So, okay. Oh, Knicks Film School contributed to the chat. Oh, John doesn't have his own thing. Okay. Kevin Danishevsky. If they cut it to 9 from 17, it would have been enough. If they cut it to 5, it would have been enough. If they tied it, if they took the lead, ditto. I think we were all like, all right, good job by the kids, cutting it down to 8. Good job by the kids, cutting it down to 5. I thought that this is enough for me to be like, okay, this is a theme. It's right. When they took the lead, and look, this is, for those who have been listening to the post game, I've been someone saying, like, look, like the Heat of the team to look out for. And I think I'm switching that narrative to the Celtics. And I'm at the point now where this might just be like, eventually we're just gonna have to say that he like have the top end, like they have a culture, whatever you want to call it. They have a system in place that wins a lot of regular season games. They're clearly tough defensively. RJ like was brutal tonight because the Heat clearly zeroed in on how to stop him and his shot wasn't falling. But at the end of the day, like, are we going to say the Heat are going to beat the Bucks in a 7-game series? Like, I get people point to the bubble, but Giannis was hurt. And again, a bubble. But like, are we going to say they're going to beat Philadelphia? Like, I don't know. The Heat are clearly on the way down or they're slumping right now. And they're on the way down as far as my power rankings on who's going to come out of this conference, but we'll see. Yeah, good point, Kevin. There were certain checkpoints that they hit that if that was all we got tonight, I'd be fine. Anyway, Dan Hidalgo, jump the gun. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Dan. Nice to see you. Kenny Rose, let's say it all together. The kids are out of prison and delivering. Love it. IQ, Sims, Grimes, Obi, RJ, and Deuce. Yeah, Deuce McBride. So happy. So happy. Multiple times down the stretch, whether it was a defensive stop or like a 3 that he hit, the big defensive rebound that kind of closed the game, and then he passed it to quickly for the win. Yeah, I'm all aboard. Deuce finally getting minutes and contributing. Knicks Film School. Fuck Miami. Those Okay. Apologies to Pastor Claudio's Obi Hive, but I see the chat. I have to read it. Fuck Miami. Those fucking fucks. Fuck them in their fucking asses. Crow season all night long. Wook. Thank you, John. I guess John's John's having fun on date night. Hope you and Dolores are having a good night, buddy. Robert Cross, GMAC. What role do you think being rooted to the bench has played in Obi's development the last 2 years? Trade Randle for a second rounder. Okay. I would rather trade him for not the lowest possible value yet, but I get the idea of trading him. I said this during the third quarter. I tweeted this out during Obi's 13-point third quarter. It is concerning and absolutely an indictment on Tibbs if Obi's had this kind of bag this whole time. Like the 3-pointers, like those have been hit or miss. He'll have a game here and there where he hits 2 or 3 threes and we're like, oh, a shot. That's awesome. I still think that I haven't seen the game the pull-up shot that he hit to give him his 15th point. I haven't seen this. The fake dribble handoff that he has where he fakes the handoff and drives to the rim. He's done it twice, or at least maybe even more than that in the last 2 games that I've noticed. If he's had this type of offensive game and we just haven't been able to see it because he's in the corner and anytime Tibbs puts him in the game, yeah, that's probably not the best way to use him. Or that's probably because he's like not that great at 3-pointers, but maybe there was like a more offensive role for him to play this year where it's not just like he needs a point guard, he needs Derrick Rose. Um, it's amazing what consistent minutes will lead to. So just good job by Obi across the board. I don't know. Look, before the season, we were saying that like it was John, Chip Murphy, and I did a pod, and John was like, I just want like 18 to 20 minutes a game. And Chip and I were saying that's not going to happen. Tibbs only plays. He's not going to play with Randle. And Randle's going to play like 35 to 36 minutes a game. Like exactly what we thought would happen this year. And I predicted, this is where I was very wrong. I predicted John's going to turn on Tibbs because he won't play Obi enough. How wrong was I that it was more everybody else would turn on Tibbs because he wasn't playing Obi enough? But look, the past is in the past. I'm glad Obi's playing now because now it shows something to reconsider or at least consider for this offseason. So we'll see. Kevin Wilson, man, that fourth quarter was fun. Well, other than let's go the Clippers game in LA. That was fun, where it was all the kids and Cam Reddish had a big fourth quarter. That was fun. The fourth quarter against the Celtics not on opening night, because that was actually torturous watching Kemba turn the ball over and give initial indications that he might not be the one. Hit me up in the chat, guys. The D-Rose Bucks game. Yes, that fourth quarter was fun. That was also like very early in the season before we knew. The one game we just had against the Hornets, that was a fun fourth quarter. I will say, I know we like want him gone forever, but Redacted's fourth quarter in Sacramento, that was something. Watching him single-handedly put that game away to get to 46 points. This is up there for the January guys. The second Celtics game, which ironically turned the season around for the Celtics. That's got to be my favorite fourth quarter of the season. Although RJ missed some free throws in the fourth. King J Dog, Tibbs is going off right now. So is something happening that I'm missing? Hold on a second. Someone in the chat or somebody with my number text me things that Tibbs is doing. But yeah, if Tibbs is actually doing something. Okay, thank you, King. King J Jog just texted me. Tibbs going off on post game right now that we don't know what we are talking about. No, he's not. He's doubling down that we don't know what we're talking about playing the young guys. I pray to God he's not. Please don't be redacted and start a war with the fan base. Okay. I'm just gonna ignore that that's happening and turn my phone off. Okay, let's catch up in the super chat. Michael Mirando. Trade Randle, play the kids. We are a few pieces away. Side note, kind of bums me out that Deuce was sitting on the bench all year. So this is something I've actually honestly been okay. Let me be careful how I say this. It's not that I've been fine with Deuce's role, because for like those weeks where we were like not playing a point guard, it was one of those things where I don't know why we don't play the point guard in the G League that's having like an unreal G League season. I'm able to compartmentalize what the G League is. Jimmer Fredette's like one of the greatest G League players of all time. It's not like it's glorified summer league. You know, if guys were really good if guys were so good that they play in the NBA, you know, like it's a different thing. It's like being a really great minor leaguer is how I look at the G League. However, he had earned a rotation spot, which is why like the opportunity that's been created for him now, I'm happy to see. And look, there was a part of me against the Hornets the other night. I was thinking, is this only happening because the Hornets are one of the worst defensive teams in the league? And here we are against one of the best defensive teams in the league, the 1 seed in the East, and he's contributing to this unreal fourth quarter comeback and arguably like one of the main cogs of the fourth quarter comeback. Listen, I don't. For a while, I was like fine with Deuce's role, but I'm at the point where I'm glad he's playing now, and I hope he plays more down the stretch. He's definitely earned it. Peter Imhoff. He finally let the kids finish. Finally, I'm not going to call out who it is, but there's a friend of mine, who texted me that he had to put Burks back in. How dare they? And I just was like, he wants to win the game. It's perfectly fine. The kids brought them here. He wanted to put ball handlers in the game. It was literally just like for an ATO that eventually led to a Taj dunk. I was perfectly fine with it. Especially since the Knicks were having trouble getting the ball across half court. They put the free throw shooting lineup in. The last thing you want is I see the chat saying what Tibbs is saying. I'll get to it in a second. The last thing that you want is for the kids to bring you back and then the kids to blow it. I get what learning experiences is. I'd rather this have been a celebratory post game than it be like, damn, the kids brought us so far and then lost. And that's what we got. Tonight was a victory, which I'm okay with. Lunis Emirate. This team without Jules was the real 53 wins prophecy. Oh, man. Yeah, he deserves it at this point. Yeah. So if they trade him next year, bring him back. 53 wins, guys. If they trade him in the offseason and get all those 53, cash all those bets too, or place all those bets, I should say. Okay, I'm gonna just double check that Tibbs is really doing this. Is Tibbs really like defending? Hold on. Okay, I gotta focus on the chat, guys. Just keep updating in the chat what Tibbs is saying. Jessica, what's up, Jess? This was great. Who needs redacted? Not these kids. That's who. Amazing IQ, amazing Sims. Jericho Sims. I can't say enough. The 58th pick. The 58th pick. They might have found a starting center. I think he's a backup, but like the offensive rebounds, the energy plays, the defensive rotations that he's able to do, like some of the best stops down the stretch in that fourth quarter, even earlier in the game, I noticed him being all over the floor. Yeah, I'm all about Jericho Sims and look forward to him having a roster spot next year. Barrett fought hard. McBuckets was awesome. That's McBride. Okay. Huge shots all around. Best fourth quarter of the year. I'll dig it. If you want to say it's this year, I dig it. Chip Murphy, the brains of KFS. What up, Chip? Good luck. The good luck charm. What a win. Go Knicks. Go St. Peter's. Talk about the big 15. A 15 seed advances to the Elite 8. If only they weren't from Jersey. That's an unnecessary shot. Shout out St. Peter's. I hope they win. This would be cool if they get a 15 seed in the Final Four. Absolutely. Robert Cross, GMAC. Convenient scheduling for John tonight, you think? Play them kids. I'm just glad I'm here. But listen, if you guys don't know, like we did the conversation, I think before the season with Jeremy and John, the teams in the NBA we love to beat the most. The Miami Heat forever will be my number one. And the Knicks haven't done it a lot lately. So tonight is even more special that they're like ruining the Heat's playoff positioning with they're playing spoiler and getting a win like this. That this Heat culture that gets thrown in our faces, that like, oh, just come down to Miami and all of a sudden a franchise that's won 3 playoff series in their franchise without Dwayne Wade or a bubble. Okay. When you have great players or Disney World, apparently you're a great franchise. And other than that, they actually haven't won that much and actually have a history of losing to the Knicks. So I'll take it. Yes, I'm a little spiteful tonight, but they won, so I can be. James Choi, this great play recently has to be due to our new Theo Penson bench mob in the pink suit. So I was watching tonight with my mom and my dad, and they were talking about like an episode of Star Trek that there was like he looked like he was in a Star Trek uniform, is what they were saying. And I said it looked like he left a pink sock in with his whites, or his red sock in with his whites, but like only brought the one suit. Look, I'm sure in the tax bracket he's in, the fashion people advising him are saying that this looks good, which is why he wore it, and it's why what we say doesn't matter to him. But we'll see. Kevin Danishevsky, I'll be the John for the night. We love to say play the kids and then play. Oh, we love to say play the kids and then they play them and play well. But ought he get? Okay, I see what you're saying. But ought he get credit for their development? Look, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We don't have access to practice. Like nobody really does anymore. So, yeah, maybe something to that. One thing I've actually agreed with John all year, but some of the other stuff, just like the message doesn't get across, I don't think. The one thing that I appreciate about a Tom Thibodeau coach team is a lot of them play hard. The accountability stuff is real. He's got to hold Burks and Fournier and all of it, Redacted, and all of his veterans more accountable and not just pulling the kids when they make a mistake. That is 100% fair. Doesn't change the fact that like the Knicks are in all of these games and there's a late game execution issue. That's really been the problem most of the year. Now the execution issue falls on the coach as much as it does the players, but this isn't like the late Fizdale years or the late Fizdale games where they're getting blown out every game. This isn't like me showing up to a Knicks game at 7 and by 7:15 I'm checking out what's on Netflix. So wow, I'll get to that later. This isn't the worst situation the Knicks have been in. It's been probably the most frustrating because of nights like tonight and potential for this to happen more often. But look, I wasn't that upset when I heard that they would be bringing Tibbs back. I think if there's enough of a fracture in the locker room, you can't bring him back. You absolutely can't bring him back with Randle. That's for sure. But if they're going to keep playing hard, and like, again, I said it earlier, imagine 35 wins next season where 20 of them are like tonight, where the kids surprise us, where the kids catch teams off guard because they have no clue what to do with this Tom Thibodeau coach, like blitzing defenses. You know, those closeouts in the fourth quarter were incredible. And it's why the frustration we all have is like, why weren't we seeing more of it? So like he's allowed to have a bad year and maybe next year, we'll see what happens. Prediction, I actually think he won't be here next year anyway. So we'll see what happens. Brian Carter, inject that Deuce McBride rebound in my veins. Yeah, he got up for that. I was stunned. I was stunned that he got the closing rebound. It was good to see. Let's keep going. Jason M. This game is an indictment on Tibbs and Macri for defending him all season. No excuse to have kept these kids back for so long. Play the damn kids. A lot of victory laps being taken tonight, and probably deserved victory laps taken tonight. That's fair. I got nothing. Like we've taken John. We've pushed back on John on the regular pod. I still think there is something to his overall narrative of like, I'd like that this team feels competently like they're still fighting for him. He hasn't lost the team yet. Like the kids are here and they're playing hard for Tibbs. What I think is the frustrating part is that he hasn't kept the veterans just as accountable, like why the kids haven't played more sooner. But look, if tonight is your told you so game, then it's most likely deserved. And speaking of G. Huber, then fire Tibbs strictly for waiting till no one cares to play the kids. John ducking the smoke. Believe me, he's not. He is enjoying a very lovely night with his wife. I respect it. Our not a point guard is pretty good for not a point guard. Shout out Pastor Claudio, who just contributed a Go Knicks into the chat. Shout out that. I hope the the language in your office isn't too bad. Yeah, I don't mind. I don't care if Quickly's a point guard or not. He just needs to play. Like, if you want to start him, fine. If you want him to be your energy off the bench, fine. He just needs to play more than Burks. Like, he just needs to play more than the other options. That's been my whole thing about Quickly all season. I don't care if he's your starting point guard and he gets the label of starting point guard and he's put in our draft on Patreon as a starting point guard. No, I want Mayo Quickly to play. He's offense. He's an energy pill. Like that's all I care about with Mayo Quickly. I want him to play a lot of minutes. I don't, because if you play him next to Derrick Rose is going to be the point guard, and I think that's one of your best lineups. People were opining for Miles McBride, for Deuce McBride all season. They thought Deuce McBride's the point guard. No, next to Quickly, it's just guards. Like, I want Quickly to play. Like, regardless of what position that is that he plays, I want him to play. That's been my entire thing. And John, to defend him tonight, has been saying he wishes Quickly had started months ago, before, like, during the COVID shortened games in December, where all of us were like watching oh my gosh, what's his name? Damian Dotson was getting minutes for the Knicks earlier this year, and Emmanuel Quickly still wasn't starting a point guard. Like, that's the thing that frustrates me the most as far as Quickly is concerned. But I don't care if he's labeled a point guard. I don't care if he's labeled a starter. I just want him to play more minutes than he's been playing. He should be averaging close to 25, if not 30 minutes this season. And hopefully next season he does. Let's see. Okay. Carolina Knicks fan. Tears in my eyes. I feel it, man. The kids are all right, man. Good movie. The kids are all right. The future is looking bright. Let's go, Knicks. Absolutely. I gotta say, the list I'm scrolling through has the Knicks Heat graphic too. Just warms my heart that this is all happening with the Heat logo in there, because it's at the expense of that fraud franchise. Next up, Varun Jain. It was clear RJ got re-energized in fourth quarter by IQ Deuce, even though he wasn't having a good game. Complete oppo of redacted. Keep Tibbs, drop Randle. Respect for putting that out into the world. To keep Tibbs, drop Randle. And that's a great point. Like, we've seen redacted have these bad games, and then his energy just completely affect the rest of the team. And RJ seemed to get frustrated by the fact that his shot was off. He was getting no calls. And look, this is where I will give the Heat credit. They were zeroing in on him not getting the same shots that he was in his 46-point game. And almost RJ needed to depend on foul calls in order to contribute offense tonight. And, when he came back in the game, he didn't try to do too much. I think Quickly still controlled the ball, but I didn't see him forcing anything, which is what you honestly don't really get from redacted. So it's a good point, Varun. I appreciate the contribution. Hush Zoo, in all caps, this message. Trade Randle, IQ. Woo! Trade Randle, play the kids. 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 I don't disagree with anything you just say, and keep that same energy for the rest of the season, Hush Zoo. I love it. Luke Chamon. I think I made your name French, and I hope it is French. So Luke Chamon. Deuce and IQ till I croak. Well, hope you don't croak. Tyler Hero, hold the beef, you fool. Oh yeah, Tyler Hero didn't play. Probably good he didn't play, because then the Knicks might have lost. But I don't know. I hope you don't croak is what I'll say, Luke. See you play. Joe Vogel. IQ has been second best Knicks since the All-Star break, and it's not close. Kind of disgrace. He's only playing less than 25 minutes in that time. 100% agree. I just said it. I wish he was playing 30 minutes a game. That is my take on Emmanuel Quickly. I hope next season his role is elevated, so he's at least playing that number of minutes. If it's off the bench, so he takes advantage of second units and then closes games, fine. But I'd love to see him play more, is the entire point. All right, let me refresh. You guys are awesome, by the way. This has been a fun night. I was kind of worried this is going to be a dead live stream when they were down 15, and here we are. Uh, Adult Donkeys, A Time for Turtles. I have wanted to read that name out loud on a live stream for months now, and I got to do it. Thank you. I have platonic love for Jericho Sims. I too have platonic love for Jericho Sims, and I hope that that platonic love is part of a long-term relationship because he speaks all of my love languages, and I hope he's here for the long run. Kevin Danishevsky, I think Tibbs has been listening to John and KFS. I can tell you this much. No, he hasn't. I'll tell you this much. No, he has not. I would be shocked if Tom Thibodeau knew we exist. I'd be shocked if Tom Thibodeau knew the internet exists. It's funny. So like my parents like they had a staycation this week and been doing some spring cleaning, and my dad, because he's amazing, has been posting pictures of his old cell phones, right? And so he has that old Nokia 1100 that right now would just be like a paperweight, and he posted like pictures of his old Blackberries before Blackberries had internet, or if they like back when the Blackberry only had like email privileges, right? And they had the track bar on the side, the wheel on the side, not the track ball in the middle, but the wheel on the side. And I wondered if that's what Tibbs uses as a cell phone. But then I thought, like, there's no way that Tibbs has a whole keyboard, right? Because he'd look at it and be like, oh, these buttons, what the hell? Like, there's no way he has anything more than 12 buttons on a phone so he can call someone, yell, and then hang up and then go back to watching basketball film. That's gotta be how Tom Thibodeau uses technology. Good contribution, Kevin Danishevsky. James Lee, I hope Tibbs learns from this, not the play the kids part. He should adopt flexibility and adaptability like he did today more in the future. So on that point, James, and again, thank you for the contribution. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was more flexible last year. Like the Peyton thing notwithstanding, we saw him go with the hot hand more times than not. RJ got benched in a lot of fourth quarters when he didn't have it last year because Burks did, or Quickly did, or D Rose did. You know, he never went to an Obi Randle at the 5 lineup, which is what we've all wanted. But like, there was an accountability last season. I felt like Austin Rivers started the year as a primary part of the rotation, and they traded for Derrick Rose, and we were all afraid, oh my God, there goes Quickly's minutes. And no, like Quickly earned a role in the rotation. And let's also not forget, and like Austin Rivers went bye-bye, but let's forget the way the season started, Kevin Knox was getting minutes. Dennis Smith Jr. was getting minutes, and guys jumped them in the rotation because there was an accountability and a development as part of this. It's this season that's been so frustrating that it seems that the only reason why that's changed is because contract status has changed. And I don't think that's an appropriate way to evaluate or reward minutes. So it's why like the flexibility and adaptability this season just hasn't been there. But I don't know if it's like something he doesn't have. Last season, I felt like he did have it. And maybe next season with less contract stability on the team, which is like not a fair thing to ask for because you don't want there to just all be rookie contracts. It's how you get the 2019 season. Yeah, I'm at the point now where I at least like respect if like Tibbs this season has done a bad job is the take. But last season, like it wasn't just the guys who were making shots. He coached differently last year. That is something I truly believe. I watched it with my own eyes. This is a different team and was there was flexibility last year. And I hope we see it next year if he's back. XJ, man, you actually, wow, I'm honored that I get a contribution from the one and only. I don't want to. So I need to come up with a nickname, whether it's like the calculator or or something analytic driven, because the comments that you leave that in our YouTube videos are always with a passion and analytically driven. But XJ, Andrew, the Obi bandwagon says hi. That is all. The captain of the Obi bandwagon, shout out to you. And the way you look at those 2 seasons at Dayton, where I think one season he went 11 for 21 from 3 as an indication that he's going to have a successful NBA career from 3-point land. I respect it. I know Obi's trainer went to college with him. Shout out Dave Zenon. If you're listening, I trust him to get him right. Yeah, I dig it. I see, by the way, Karim, I see your comment. Why not all rookie contracts, though? Look at Memphis, all the young guys, pretty much. Steven Adams is not a rookie contract. You also need like a Ja Morant to hit, which is not a rookie contract. You need, I mean, that's a fair point, I guess. The whole all rookie contracts thing is how you get the 2019 season is my point. The Knicks went into that year with so it's not just all rookie contracts. So that's let me rephrase. Maybe you do have something on the like play the young guys and develop them. It's all the 1-year contracts that I don't like, because that's how you get, because you get the Luke Cornettes and the Manuel Mudiay's and the Noah Vonleys and all of these guys getting minutes that aren't in the league anymore or aren't in rotations anymore. That's the thing I don't want. So look, we'll see what happens next year. Kevin Anashevsky, non-Knicks, which KFS guy does the best in Pirtle? John. I'm telling you this right now, John does. Every morning, our group chat with John, Oz, and Yash, we play Wordle. They play Pirtle and Wardle. Wardle is a baseball version where you like War gets introduced as the baseball version of guessing the player. John is either 1, 2, or 3 every time. And I played once, got 0, like didn't get it right, and was like, I don't want to guess anymore. I look at Wordle as my way to get my brain kickstarted every morning, and like guessing the shape of the basketball player is not how I want to do it. Solving the puzzle is actually the way I want to play Wordle. So, but shout out to John for being really good at Pirtle. For those who don't know what that is, I apologize. I don't want to explain it. Just Google it. I enjoy peace. I also enjoy peace. Shout out to your username. That's a very good message, especially for the times we're living in. Andrew, love our neophytes. Are you my mom? No, my mom doesn't have well, at least I don't think she has a YouTube account, but that would be something my mom would have as a YouTube account. If you're not my mom, then I still enjoy your username. I enjoy peace. Andrew, love our neophytes. All about lack of turnovers with strong D and yeah, this is definitely not my mom. All about lack of turnovers with strong D and 3 guys that can who can catch fire at any point. IQ, Quentin Grimes, and Deuce. No lead is insurmountable. I do think you need. It is fair. What happens tonight was awesome. You will need a guy. That's the thing. And maybe RJ is that guy, like the one guy that you go to, which is why the Memphis thing is tough to make a comp to, because like the Knicks don't have a Ja Morant. I am hoping that one guy turns into that. Maybe like they draft this guy because they get some lottery luck this year, but like you will need a guy to eventually do that. And I eventually hope that they do get that guy that is able to make it so we're not just depending on guys catching fire. But look, tonight was great. And look, you mentioned Quentin Grimes, not my mom. Grimes has looked rusty the last couple weeks, or at least the last week since he's been back. I was like, as much as we love the win and we love the comeback and IQ and Deuce and Sims leading the way, Grimes being part of that and catching fire the way he did and like hitting the shot to give the Knicks the lead, I thought was like underrated as part of the story here. That like a guy that's been struggling is part of the comeback as well. And it's good for Grimes for getting in there, and good for Tibbs for sticking with him, even though he was clearly in for his defense and he left Grimes in because, Grimes, as someone who was being left in, was able to contribute in that way. Okay, Juanon. Speaking of usernames, Andrew, let's get this Randle to Dallas ball rolling. All forced news starts with rumors. Shout out to Jeremy Cohen, because he and I have already started planning our cap or no caps for the offseason, which I think you guys are going to enjoy. Also, shout out to the newsletter, because John's been posting a fake Randle trade every day lately. So subscribe to the newsletter if you want to check that out. But Jeremy and I have talked about the potential Randle landing spots. And I'll be completely honest with you. I did pose the question. It's not something I want or something I'm pushing. I did pose the question, is there a Westbrook trade that makes sense? Jeremy was aghast and doesn't want to even go down that road, but it will be part of a redacted cap or no cap that will come this offseason. Varun Jain again in the super chat. LMAO, this one is just for your Tibbs impersonation. Please do again. Ha ha ha. KS, the place to be. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What do you think? Does Tibbs have neighbors? He lives in a house. He's a millionaire, right? So he doesn't have like a luxury apartment. I've always wondered if Tibbs like does normal mundane activities, like he's like that guy on TikTok that yells. I've always wondered if like Tibbs goes to the grocery store and is like, the eggs, do you have ones that aren't cracked? I thought it's 3 for $10. Like I don't think he has another way to the laid back dude that he joked around about. I don't think that's that exists. People are saying in the chat that that's how Tibbs sounded in the post game. Man, this post game is gonna be fun to watch later. The Niels next door, imagining him calling customer service. I was told by Apple Care. Ice. What aisle is the ice? Oh man. Oh wow. Hiram Claudio, the contribution in the super chat. Thanks, Dad. I hope I'm not there in the living room. I'm fun being home this weekend. Shout out to my parents. Okay, before this gets too emotional. Oh, geez. Okay, SB Gorilla. I have to say the kids played well. Happy Tibbs left them in. Thank you for your contribution. First of all, SB Gorilla. Okay. To be honest, I hope Obi gets one more start and plays well again. I honestly believe it would spell the end of Randle. The ball movement is absolutely crazy. Great game for the kids. Can I just the Obi part? So a part of your Obi comment is fascinating because it could have been really easy for Tibbs to leave Tajin down the stretch and just make the Grimes for RJ sub. And then Taj just plays the entire fourth quarter. Because as much as we want to go to the Hawks game and be like, see, that's why you don't play Taj Gibson. Meanwhile, like for most of the fourth quarter, the Knicks were keeping it close and even took the lead because like Taj was helping on the switches and like Obi was being hunted. I went back and rewatched that third quarter. Every time they got him in a switch, Trey was like hunting him because he knew I can either get past him, do that lob to Capella, or I'm going to get a foul call, which is why Obi had 5 fouls. Do I think in the long run, it would be better to see if Obi can play with 5 fouls? Yes, which is the actual defense for putting Obi back in the game. Having said that, it would have been really easy for him to do the same thing tonight. And it was really important, I think, and this is a credit to the man I've been impersonating all night. Let Obi come back in the game for a guy that has been part of the comeback and not screw it up. Because you got to see that tonight. Obi, I thought I didn't notice like a detrimental play in those final 5 minutes. And it's why I got to be honest, that's the most confidence you can have is that Obi Toppin is closing games for the New York Knicks now. And that's something I didn't think we'd see this year. And it's like, I agree, SB. I hope he does get to start again. And even more importantly, I hope he gets to close again the rest of the year. In all honesty, I think Randle's coming back on Sunday. If he doesn't, man, if Obi doesn't come back on Sunday, then maybe Randle is getting shut down for the season. But we'll see. King J Dog. So for those who remember thank you for your contribution. For those who remember John's last post game, where he gave a shout out to my friend Justin down, who went to the Charlotte game, who was sitting 4 rows behind the Knicks bench. That's I understand I said King J Dog. That's his Instagram name. KJ Dog. Is what that stands for. That's my buddy Justin. Shout out to you, my man. Thank you for tuning in for the post game. Our Knicks have won 2 games in a row playing the kids. Shout out to you, my friend. Yeah, he put is that a what plant is that, or what vegetable is that? It's an emoji of a thing laughing at me. Regardless, I appreciate it. Yes, thank you, Justin, as always. Oh, it's a pear. That's what it is. You can tell I don't eat a lot of pears. Okay. I appreciate you, Justin. Okay. I have been doing this for, let's see, a lot of minutes. I've been doing this for 55 minutes. I will give you guys 5 minutes. I will answer whatever you want in the regular chat. Throw a couple of questions in there. It could be movie related if you want. I'll wrap up with a couple minutes. Some general Knicks questions. The Neil's next door. I'd love to see JB take over this team. Yeah, maybe. The unknown is always, better than the known. So maybe he's the next Nick Nurse. We'll see. Throw your questions into the chat. I'll spend the next 5 minutes checking them out. Amused. Oh, there you go. Amused to be here. That's my mom. So thank you, Mom, for checking in tonight. XJ, I said in 2 weeks you'll find out what that means. Patience. Don't worry. Jonas Plout, how far do the Rangers go in the playoffs, and why will they win it all? They beat the the Penguins 5-1 tonight. The Rangers have a legitimate shot to win it all. They have played well against Tampa. They've played well against Florida. They've played well against Washington. They've played well against all the top tier teams. I think the goaltending is good enough that if Shesterkin just gets hot for 3 weeks, the Rangers absolutely can win a cup. Look, the hockey playoffs they're kind of random at times, because a hot goaltender could come from the 8th seed, or I guess in the weird new version of the hockey playoffs, it could be the 4th seed in one of the divisions, and then it's all of a sudden it's done. But yeah, I'm pumped about a playoff run from a team that plays at Madison Square Garden. I enjoy Peace, who listens to the movie draft, who listens to our Patreon. We did a sports movie draft with Oz, Yash, and John this week. I had the 4th pick, and he just spoiled that I picked Warrior as my individual sport movie, because so it's funny. For those who haven't listened to it, I'll give you the ground rules, and then you can go and listen to it and subscribe to our Patreon if you'd like. We did a draft with the 4 of us where the categories were a basketball movie, a baseball movie, a football movie, an individual sport movie. So that's your martial arts, your boxing, your golf, your tennis, a team sport movie that's not baseball, basketball, football. So that's hockey, that's soccer, that's rugby, that's bobsled, and then a wild card where you can fill it with whatever. And he just spoiled what my combat pick was. In hindsight, for the purposes of the draft, I probably should have took Karate Kid because more people have seen it. But I gotta say, I love Warrior so much, and I hope more people have seen it and appreciate it. Let's see. Was Coach Carter in your list of sports movies? Yes. I think you should tune in to find out, to see. Coach Carter did get drafted. You'll get to tune into the pod to see if I was the one that drafted it. Neil's next door. Do we run Rose at the starting point next year? Listen, if Derrick Rose is a 20 to 25 minute player a game now, that's not the worst thing. If he's your starter and then quickly is your first quarter closer, second quarter starter, fourth quarter closer, maybe that is the way to do it. And you maximize the limited minutes that Derrick Rose probably should be playing at this point in his career as a starting role. One thing I used to love about this is old head talk, but the 2013 Knicks, the starting lineup did not matter. Like the Amari Stoudemire came off the bench most of that year. The J.R. Smith, 160 man of the year, came off the bench that year. Steve Novak, the weapon from three, came off the bench that year. And that was like the Knicks bench was actually the weapon. The starting lineup didn't matter. It was a little ISO heavy, which we heard that before. But once you got the bench into the game, it took advantage of these second units. Even look at last season. We all couldn't wait for we just needed Peyton to play like 12 to 15 minutes, and then Rose could come in. If you swap that, and now Derrick Rose is the starter, and then quickly comes in and plays the rest of the game, I'd be all for that. JG question: you think Spo is gonna be let go by the Heat? If so, would you want him to be the future Knicks coach? No, I don't think they're gonna let him go. Yes, I absolutely would want him to be our head coach. I talk shit about the Miami Heat, but they're a competent organization. He's one of the best coaches in the NBA. The reason that Kevin Durant went to Golden State is because of the cap spike, right? I firmly believe if the cap didn't spike, he goes to Miami. Spo told him in the recruiting meeting in the Hamptons that, like, this is how you should be used. Like, you've been being used like this in Oklahoma City. This is how you should be used, and I will use you that way. And Kevin Durant said, wow, that's a good point. I'm going to go to Golden State and do that. And the rest is history. But yeah, I think you want to talk about adaptability and flexibility. Eric Spoelstra's your guy. Let's see. Jessica, favorite PTA movie. So this is going to be a plug for final review because we did a PTA movie late last year. We did There Will Be Blood, which is my second favorite PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson movie. My favorite is The Master. Watch the trailer if you have no idea what that movie's about. I think it's Joaquin Phoenix's best performance. I think it's a lot of best performances in that movie. There Will Be Blood is second. And then the movie that came out this year, Licorice Pizza, is my number 3. Movies I hope you've all heard of and have seen. Let's get a couple more. It was interesting to learn Mitch missed only 7 games this season. It felt like a lot more. That's from Neil's Next Door. That actually does seem short. Although, actually, more I think about it, Mitch has been available more than he hasn't this year. I think we've seen him disappear in games more than that, which is why it feels like he has missed more than not. But yeah, I guess that's his agent is going to be emphasizing that point this offseason too. Mensa, no, I didn't see John getting ratioed on Twitter. You know who also didn't see John getting ratioed on Twitter? John. Let's see. Varun Jain, what wide receiver are the Jets getting? Ooh, let me pull up the draft real quick. I think they're going a wide receiver either at 10 or 35. I think they will go defense at the Jets have, for those who care about football, the Jets have 4 picks in the first 38 total picks in the NFL draft. And I think one of those picks will be a wide receiver. I don't know if they'll go 10 and take a wide receiver, or they'll wait till 35 or 38 to do it. But I think the other 3 picks, regardless of which they are, will be defense, and they'll look to get defensive starters because they've mostly spent the offseason focusing on like tight ends, and they went and got a guard, and like they're focusing more on they filled a lot of holes in free agency that now they can go in the draft and hopefully find a weapon there. Good question though. Let's go a couple more. You're welcome for answering your question, JG. When can Channing Frye come back on the pod? Would love to hear him chat up with Jeremy in the mix with John. We'll try to make it happen. We were lucky enough to get one, but he's now a member. The Road Trippin' podcast is now part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Maybe when John goes on vacation this summer, we'll switch it up. But you guys, I'm sure, figured out we like to keep it one-on-one with the interviews. So maybe when John is on vacation this summer, we'll see if Channing wants to come back, and Jeremy can push back on any Russell Westbrook talk because he'll throw the cap at him, and Channing Frye will look like the Mr. Krabs meme. And yeah, well, maybe we can make that happen this summer. Let's see. Sean and one, the Rex. Oh, you also put us in the super chat. A pair. How's it going? Now I'm glad I know that that's a pair now. The thing looks like it would be in like an old school Pixar movie. Or no. You know what it looks like? You guys remember that movie with Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, like that whole crew, about the grocery items? A Sausage Party. It ended up being not a kid's movie, but a cartoon. It looks like it would be in Sausage Party. That's what I'll give. All right, one more good question. Pros and cons of this team with Atkinson as coach. Wow. Wow. So here's what I'll say. I was apathetic to either Atkinson or Tibbs when it was rumored it was going to be those two guys. Once Leon Rose got the job, like, I mean, I hope you guys remember, John was the first to report Tibbs would be the coach. He had, from his sourcing, had found out it was gonna be him. So I didn't think Atkinson was ever really in the running. Having said that, I do think it's noteworthy that the line for Kenny Atkinson doesn't exist. He hasn't had a coaching job since he left the Nets. Now that might, who knows if he is perfectly fine. I think he's in LA with the Clippers now, and he's perfectly fine being an assistant. But Mike Miller also looked like he could be a good NBA head coach. Is currently not head coach of an NBA team right now. I think the kids are playing if Atkins is here. I think there's less of a focus on winning and having to win every game, but I don't know. I kind of like the path the Knicks have set out, because if Tibbs comes here and sets the culture and kind of resets the team with some good habits, and I like that RJ might end up with 2.5, 3 years of Tibbs and that type of environment, and then you get a more creative offensive mind like Johnny Bryant in here, and that's the team. The Atkinson, you talk about being frustrated by the Tibbs offense of Julius ISO. How about the D'Angelo Russell ISO that existed when he was the head coach there? So I wonder if we'd get some of the same things. I'm perfectly fine with the path that the Knicks took, because I wouldn't trade last season for anything. As I hinted earlier, you guys will find out how last season might have long-term been pretty beneficial. And I will leave you guys on that. Thank you for tuning in to the KFS postgame live stream. If you dig the show and are listening on iTunes and Spotify, specifically on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. If you're watching this video right now and you haven't liked it, get those likes up. I greatly appreciate it. If you're listening right now, if you're watching right now and you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. We are so close to 9,000 subscribers. We'd like to get to 10,000 by the beginning of next season. So help us out there. We'd really appreciate it. If you're watching this from Miami, I hope you enjoy your night out on South Beach, and I hope you enjoy that L. Wash it down, whether you're at Live or you're at Prime 112 or any of those places where there's probably illegal activity going on in the kitchen. Enjoy your Friday nights, everybody. John and Jeremy and I will be back on Sunday live from this channel. We'll be doing a double pod, where it'll be a post-game pod with all your super chats, and we'll be doing our segments together. So all the tensions, the game balls, predictions, maybe even a Tankathon sim, a producer's corner, all of that will happen on Sunday after the game. Until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time for another KFS postgame show.